will surely be reunified.
Are you willing to get involved militarily to defend Taiwan if it comes to that?
Yes, that's the commitment we made.
Why is Taiwan, a tiny island of just 23 million people, the epicenter of a global power struggle? Why are China and the United States locked in a bitter obsession over this seemingly insignificant piece of land? Beneath the surface lies a story of historical grievances, economic dominance, military strategy, and a clash of ideologies. A story that may determine the fate of the modern world. It all begins with history. In 1949, the Chinese Civil War reached its dramatic conclusion. The communist forces of Mao Zedong triumphed, declaring the establishment of the People's Republic of China on the mainland. The defeated nationalist forces, led by Chiang Kai-shek, fled to Taiwan, a small island 100 miles off China's coast. On this island, they established what they called the Republic of China, claiming to be the legitimate government of all Chinese territories. But to Beijing, this was not a new nation. It was unfinished business. Taiwan was, in their eyes, a rebellious province that had temporarily slipped from their control. Reunification was not just a political goal. It became a deeply ingrained part of China's national identity. For decades, this sentiment simmered, shaping Chinese policy and stoking nationalist fervor. Taiwan was the last piece of the puzzle, the missing chapter in the story of China's revival as a global power. For the United States, however, Taiwan became much more than a Chinese issue. It was a key player in the Cold War. In the ideological battle between communism and democracy, Taiwan stood as a beacon of the latter, a bulwark against the expansion of Soviet and Chinese influence in Asia. Washington provided Taiwan with military protection, economic aid, and political support, effectively turning the island into a fortress of democracy. To the US, abandoning Taiwan was unthinkable. It would mean not only losing a crucial ally, but also ceding critical ground to communist forces in the region. Fast forward to today, and Taiwan's significance has only grown. What was once a strategic outpost in the Cold War is now an economic juggernaut. Taiwan has transformed into a global leader in technology, innovation, and manufacturing. At the heart of its success lies its semiconductor industry. Companies like TSMC, Taiwan Semiconductor Manufacturing Company, dominate the global market, producing the advanced microchips that power everything from smartphones to AI systems and advanced military equipment. To understand the importance of Taiwan's semiconductors, imagine a world without them. Your phone would stop working. Cars would cease production. Even cutting-edge fighter jets would be grounded. Taiwan produces over 60% of the world's semiconductors and an astonishing 90% of the most advanced chips. Losing access to these resources would be catastrophic for any nation, and both the US and China know it. For Washington, Taiwan's semiconductors are a critical asset in maintaining its technological edge. For Beijing, controlling Taiwan would mean controlling the lifeblood of the global tech industry, giving China unprecedented leverage over the rest of the world. But Taiwan's importance goes beyond economics. Its geography makes it a strategic gem in the Pacific. The island sits at the center of what military strategists call the First Island Chain, a line of territories that form a natural barrier against China's naval expansion. For Beijing, breaking through this chain is essential for projecting power into the Pacific and beyond. For Washington, keeping Taiwan free is key to maintaining its dominance in the region and ensuring the security of allies like Japan, South Korea, and the Philippines. In this high-stakes game of chess, Taiwan is not just a pawn, it's the queen. Tensions over Taiwan have been escalating for years, but they reached new heights under Chinese President Xi Jinping. Xi has made it clear that reunifying Taiwan with the mainland is a top priority, a historical mission that cannot be delayed. Under his leadership, China has dramatically increased its military presence around Taiwan, conducting aggressive drills, flying fighter jets into Taiwan's air defense zone, and even simulating blockades of the island. These actions are not just shows of force, they are warnings. Beijing is signaling to Taiwan and the world that it is prepared to use military power to achieve its goals. The United States has responded in kind. Washington has ramped up arms sales to Taiwan, providing advanced missile systems, fighter jets, and naval ships to bolster the island's defenses. American warships regularly patrol the Taiwan Strait, a move that Beijing views as a provocation. In recent years, high-level US officials have visited Taiwan, further inflaming tensions. For Washington, these actions are a statement of commitment, a signal that the US will stand by Taiwan against any threat. But to Beijing, they are acts of interference, violations of China's sovereignty, and provocations that bring the world closer to conflict. The stakes are not just military or economic, they are deeply ideological. Taiwan is a vibrant democracy, a stark contrast to the authoritarian rule of the Chinese Communist Party. For the people of Taiwan, the idea of becoming part of mainland China is unthinkable. They have built their own identity, distinct from both Beijing and Washington. While older generations may still see themselves as Chinese, younger Taiwanese increasingly identify as Taiwanese, with their own culture, values, and way of life. This identity crisis has deepened the divide, making peaceful reunification an increasingly distant dream. For Beijing, however, Taiwan is a matter of national pride and legitimacy. Reclaiming Taiwan is not just a geopolitical goal. It's a cornerstone of the Communist Party's narrative of restoring China to its former glory. Losing Taiwan permanently would be a humiliation too great to bear, one that could destabilize the party's grip on power. For Washington, Taiwan represents a commitment to democracy and an essential part of its strategy to counterbalance China's rise. If the US were to abandon Taiwan, it would send shockwaves through the region, potentially undermining alliances with countries like Japan, South Korea, and Australia. The struggle over Taiwan isn't just a regional issue, it's a global one. A conflict over the island could trigger a domino effect, disrupting global supply chains, destabilizing economies, and drawing in nations from around the world. Both China and the United States have been preparing for such a scenario. Beijing has built the world's largest navy, developed advanced missile systems, and invested heavily in cyber warfare capabilities. The US, in turn, has bolstered its military presence in the Pacific, strengthened alliances with regional powers, and conducted large-scale military exercises aimed at deterring Chinese aggression. But despite these preparations, the possibility of war remains deeply troubling. A conflict over Taiwan would be devastating, not just for China and the US, but for the entire world. The economic fallout alone would be catastrophic, with global markets plunging and supply chains grinding to a halt. Millions of lives could be lost, and the political consequences could reshape the global order for generations. Yet, as tensions escalate, one question remains. Is war inevitable? Or can the world find a way to diffuse this dangerous rivalry before it spirals out of control? The answers are far from clear. What is certain, however, is that Taiwan's fate is not just about the island itself. It's about the future of the global order. For China, it's a stepping stone to dominance. For the US, it's a test of its resolve and its vision for the world. For the people of Taiwan, it's a fight for their home, their democracy, and their identity. Taiwan, a small island with outsized importance, holds the power to shape the 21st century. Its story is one of resilience, ambition, and conflict. A story that is far from over. The world watches, holding its breath as the fate of Taiwan hangs in the balance. Will it remain a beacon of democracy, a symbol of defiance against authoritarianism? Or will it become the spark that ignites a global conflagration? Only time will tell, but one thing is clear. Taiwan is no longer just an island. It is the stage for a struggle that could determine the future of the world.